Thank you so much. Welcome to The Long Shot. It is a podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Sean Conroy. As you may notice, my co-host is not here tonight. Amber Kenny apparently worked a 36-hour day this morning, so she is not going to make it. She feels like she is pretty fried. Was her exact words. Were her exact words. So I find myself in a bit of an odd position where it's just me and I'm recording by myself, which, like I said, is always weird. It's weird. It's going to be strange. It's going to be me having a conversation with no one. So I'm going to keep it short. And this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm very upset. No. Let's see what's going on. I had a big meeting today. That was very exciting. And it was a typical Hollywood meeting where I went in and pitched several show ideas that I thought were very funny, very amusing. And the people I was pitching to disagreed, or at least did not agree strongly enough for anything to change. They liked some things, they didn't like other things, and everything is status quo. And by the way, if you're involved in the Hollywood business, right now is a strange time. By the end of the meeting, somebody in charge was basically saying, if it feels to you like everyone in Hollywood is sitting on their hands right now, it is because everyone in Hollywood is sitting on their hands right now. The business is at a standstill for a variety of reasons, including large corporations taking over everything. I don't know if you heard about Discovery taking over HBO Max and keeping the Max part and losing the HBO part. Because HBO isn't really a proven brand, whereas Max, when you think about Max, you think about, I don't know what, Max Dugan Returns, or was it Duggan? Who knows? But anyway, the meeting was, I guess, fine. So that's how things are now with me. I'll get to this in a few minutes. I have a new live show starting, which I've talked a little bit about, but now we have social media accounts and so forth. So I was going to make a reel. I've never made a reel before. I was going to make or maybe I made one at some point, but I don't know what I'm doing, is basically the gist of it. And I was going to make a reel, and I was like, let me shoot this reel out on my balcony where you can see the Hollywood sign in the background. Now, it's so far away, you would not have been able to see it if I shot the reel out there. But I went out on the balcony to shoot this reel, and I was watching the Knicks get destroyed by the Cleveland Cavaliers and in the playoffs. I'm excited the Knicks are in the playoffs. I don't love what happened in Game 2. By the time you see this, we'll be gearing up for Game 3. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, I closed the glass door to the balcony to keep the sound of the Knicks game from intruding on my reel. And the thing about the glass door to my balcony is I don't understand how the lock works. So I can't lock it from the inside, but when I went to open it from the outside, it would not open. And obviously I got in, but I had a moment of panic where I was like, oh my God, what if I accidentally locked myself out on the balcony? I'd be out there starving to death. It's one story up from the ground floor, so there's no way I could get down from there. Anyway, what I thought I would talk about today is I have a mantle over my fireplace. I had somebody here recently who criticized the number of knickknacks, gewgaws, kitsch that I had on my mantle and that I have in my place in general. So I just wanted to go through some of the things I have up there And I would like it if you guys could let me know which of these I need to get rid of. I think it's fairly evident, but nonetheless, we'll see. Okay, so I took about 10 items down, and we'll see which ones are worth keeping and which ones are not worth keeping. Now, we got a bunch of comments on YouTube this week, and I was going to go through those, but I feel like I want Amber to be here with that stuff so that she can hear what everybody says and react to what everybody is saying. I will say that several people, well, I'll wait until next week to talk about that. Boy, that was tantalizing, wasn't it? You can't wait to hear what I was about to bring up. Okay, here is some of the stuff I have on my mantle. Starting with, here is an autograph book that I got in 6th grade. The big thing in 6th grade, you didn't have a yearbook, or we didn't have a yearbook in 6th grade, but it was the end of my time in elementary school. So I would go around and get everybody's autograph, including my own, apparently. If you can see, that's my autograph in 6th grade. Glad I opened to that page. Yeah, lots of autographs here, including my brother Chris, who autographed the back of somebody else's page. So that's where he went with his autograph. So that's one thing I keep. And do I need that? Do I do anything with it? Is it important? Or as we now say, important, which I'm told is from reality television pronunciations. I don't know if it's important, but I still have it. And it's been almost 12 years since I graduated from 6th grade. Here is another thing I have on the mantle. It is I guess a church, maybe. La Tercera. I don't know what that means. And maybe this is a particular place, but I bought this when I was in Columbia many years ago. Not Washington, D.C., not the District of Columbia, the country of Columbia. I have been there. They know me there. Feel free to use my name. Bandy it about. It's like currency. It'll get you in anywhere. So this is a souvenir from Columbia. Do I need it? Do I do anything with it? Here is another thing I have on the mantle. It is a bottle of Unicum 1790 Zwack. I don't quite know what that is. I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken, it is a Hungarian liqueur. The back label is not telling me anything, although it's definitely 40% alcohol by volume, 100 milliliters. This could fuck you up. But I think it's Hungarian. I think my brother, who lived in Hungary for a while, gave me that, and I have kept it on the mantle ever since, just in case I want to have a Hungarian party here in the old homestead. Here is another. This is great, by the way. This is going great. I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but I am feeling it. Here is a plaster cast of my foot. If I did not have this, I would not know how big my foot was when I was 5 years old. And you know what they say about guys who have plaster casts of their foot. Okay. Here is another. Oh, here's a good one. This is a sign that goes on your desk. You guys have all seen these. Be so good they can't ignore you. This was, I think, given to me by the great Alex Gonzalez, former intern, former drug dealer for the show. And it's taken from a Steve Martin, a saying, a philosophy, a Steve Martin aphorism in desktop form. I keep it on the manteltop, but same. I guess I should do some writing on my manteltop at some point. Here is another Okay, what is this called? This is a particular type of figurine, right? Isn't this a specific thing? But anyway, it is of Jadeveon Clowney of the Houston Texans. And this, oh, Funko Pop, right? This is a Funko Pop figurine. This was given to me, I believe, I don't remember the young man's name. I like how I call him a young man, but it was a long shot podcast fan who came here for a live recording that we did and was very kind and brought this figurine of Jadeveon Clowney, who was apparently a phenomenal. I just remember that Jadeveon Clowney was like the greatest athlete in the history of defensive ends in the NFL. He could jump like 6 feet high from a standing position. And I was not a Houston Texans fan, but I think it may have had to do with a girl I was dating at the time who was from Houston. So I talked about them. I honestly don't remember. But anyway, Funko Pop, Houston Texans, number 90, Jadeveon Clowney. So I have that. Here is another thing I have on the mantelpiece piece top. Target load R10 shotgun shells. I don't know how many are in here. There's a bunch. And I realized these have been sitting around for probably almost a decade at this point, because I don't have a shotgun to use them with. I have these from the time that Eddie and I went to Chino to a shotgun range and did some skeet shooting with Andy Secunda. You can see clips of that in the documentary, The Bitter Buddha, about Eddie. There's still controversy about who gave him the nickname The Bitter Buddha. There's no controversy with me because I know it was me, but apparently some people still think it was them. And I won't say who that is. Anyway, I have these shotgun shells, but sitting around for a decade, part of me is a little frightened that, who knows, they could just go off at some point. So I guess I should definitely get rid of these. There's no reason to keep. There's probably, I don't know, 25 shells in here. No reason to keep that around. Here's another. This is a mock-up of a book cover. It says "Becoming Best Friends with Yourself." That is a book that I invented for a television program I was a part of called Love Inc. And there was a weird guy who was reading a book called Becoming Best Friends with Yourself in a coffee shop. I ended up playing that weird guy in a script that I actually wrote. So it was very, very self-involved. Okay, just a couple more things. Here's another figurine. This is a figurine of Mr. Pickles and, of course, Steve the Gimp, who was a major character in, I think, season 2 of Mr. Pickles. Very difficult to write for. Would sneak out of Mr. Pickles' lair and steal things from the fridge. And if you know the show and you know who Steve the Gimp turned out to be, it's a pretty weird. That show was weird. Let's not deny it. So the back of this has a Mr. Pickles phrase that is Mr. Pickles saying, "Help me and I'll help you have multiple orgasms." So that's what this Mr. Pickles figurine is all about. And then the last thing I have gotten down, and by the way, there's still about 3 times as much stuff on the mantle over there. The last thing I have is a photograph of myself with my niece at one of my brother's weddings where we accidentally made the same face. So this has been fun with Knacks. What a great segment. Folks, Amber's not here, so it's going to be a quick episode tonight. And I'm going to go into parting shots now. Here is my parting shot. I've talked about this show I have coming up. New improv show on Saturday nights at the Lyric Hyperion Theater in Los Angeles. The first show is the 29th of April. And the first show is just going to be the live show, but we're hoping shortly thereafter, the second show is May 6th. We're hoping to, by then, have set up an online streaming thing so that people can watch the show live from anywhere. Finland, Iceland, Greenland, any land, you'll be able to see the show from there. And the reason I bring that up is because we now have official social media accounts. So I would like it, I would appreciate it, as would the other people in the show, if you would follow the social media accounts that we have that our amazing producer Kevin has set up for the mixtape show. And that is on Twitter and Instagram at mixtape_improv. Show is called Mixtape. The art form is improv. So the social media handle is mixtape_improv. And by the way, I don't know where the underscore comes from, but because it's not the name of the show and it's not the art form, but it is important. So put that underscore in there. Mixtape_improv on Instagram and on Twitter. And we have a Facebook page, which look, this is the long shot. How am I going to remember what the Facebook page is? Why am I going to have that written down before the show starts so that I can tell you about it rather than just bringing it up and not knowing what it is? Did you guys catch the part of the last episode where I couldn't tell if we were recording or not? And then we left that in. That was pretty great. That was pretty great. Folks, this has been a very brief, but still far too long episode of The Long Shot. So please like and subscribe, spread the word, comment in the comments. Next week, Amber will return. We will be back, and we will see you then on The Long Shot podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please enjoy this music playing us out. Oh, that's White Power. Never mind.
While inspecting my surroundings through a paper towel tube, I thought I saw you plotting your impossible next move. Guess I caught you on the run again. I caught you on the loose. And don't act like that does not amuse ya. On your second through attempt of half explaining your dumb dream, in a time of never knowing just exactly what you mean, I must admit I had you on my mind when I cooked up this scheme. So does it or don't it include ya? And when I decide to tell you what I always thought was true, it feels as though I'm loving three alternatives to you. Still, I don't want you to notice when I say that we are through, and I just hope that doesn't confuse you. But you thought enough to claim that you don't care about the blues. I'd whistle any shade of any color that you choose. I just don't know how not to make it, so I always think of you. And for that I suppose I salute you. And you forced me to confess to what I didn't want to do. So now this sudden mess has convoluted my whole view. It's a bit hard to explain, but you've been skunked and I'm untrue. But I did what I did just to suit you. And now you're rifling through drawers and getting angrier at me for not writing down the purchase code or confirmation key. How many times can you remind me to archive and not delete? And how many times can I simply refuse to? But I keep on coming back to what I found in our back seat. A sudden seeming snap to our collapse, our sad defeat, pertaining to the words you scribbled down on our old sheet. Cribbage champs 2017, Mark and Nancy. And what you're gonna have to tell me is we're not playing anymore. In all truth, I hate to lose you, but I've lost this way before, and it's hard to let you know that it's hard to let you go. But just don't try to say I didn't try to tell you so.